Okay. Now, I think the discussion is very important. While we talked about Bharat and India, now a debate which I have been observing across media, social media, sometimes in articles, sometimes in books as well, is the era between sort of conversational marketing or mobile apps, right? I want to hear from you, from your own organization. How do you think about customer experience?
For us, customer experience is actually ensuring that customers have a very good feeling when they are when they're going through their purchase journey. They feel good across every touch point, right? So whether it's an ad to quote Maya Angelou, people will not remember what we said or what we did. They will remember how we made them feel, right? And that is the broad essence of customer experience. So tools and everything are means to an end.
Okay. Udit?
So I think the responsibility on us is huge. So Exotel is like a command center for delivering customer experiences, if I say. And for us is to make sure that the customer experience of our customer experience is superb. And how do we make sure is we make sure that the uptime is the highest for the customers. There is no downtimes when they are communicating with customers. The customer experience is all about repeatability. It's about referencing repeatability to the business.
But I did work for some time in this company called Kaya Marico. And there I believe customer experience, while we are very used to doing big advertising campaigns, what I learned over there is that customer experience actually creates the brand. So how do you really deliver your entire customer experience from what you promise, and then the gap in what you deliver is actually what keeps the brand alive.
Yes, Ramesh.
Okay, let me just move a little bit away from what people said. Because I think you heard the why of customer experience. I just want to talk about the what, which takes off from the last thing that Pooja said. How many of you in this room have bought into a restaurant or a hotel which scored less than 4? Rarely, right? You must know that restaurant very well if you had to take a 3.8 and accept it. Okay. So this is the reality of customer experience. Today we are in an age where broadcast advertising is convincing you much less than other people's experiences. Okay. So when you say 750 or 3,000 ratings and it's 4.3, he gets a lot of free stuff. He gets free customer acquisition. Yeah. He gets repeat purchase. He gets upselling. And he gets loyalty and lifetime value. All going into the bank. And I'll close this first comment with a simple piece of data, which is 22. So we did a white paper on customer experience with KPMG and published it. What we found is we did 3,000 customers, 300 different companies, 23 categories. In the top 9 categories we studied, they left $200 billion on the table as a consequence of poor customer experience. You flip that and see the kind of money you can get.
How many people in this room, as marketeers, believe that you create customer experience? A big yes or big no? Yes. Good. It's a myth. You people are all wrong. I'll tell you why. None of you create customer experience. Customer create their own experiences. The best you can do is enable experience for your customers. That's it. We will talk about 5 E's. The first 3 E's are very important. One is E is for expectations, knowing the customer's expectations. Second E, if you know the expectations of the customer, you also know what experiences you need to create. But the last E is engagement. And it's my personal opinion that the last E is more important than the first 2 E's. Should I be focusing towards the first 2 E and create a huge expectations and experiences? Or I should be focusing about creating an engagement? And then we move to double click whether this engagement is through mobile apps or through conversations which we are doing it.
So I think all 3 are connected. And I agree with you that, I would say knowing the consumer or customer and knowing the expectations is really key to drive engagement. Sure. Because only then if I know you, can I deliver something to you that engages you. And you're absolutely right, like now all marketing, because of digital, has moved more towards engagement. And how do I really drive that experience?
Do you agree that it's an engagement which is more important or an experience or a journey which becomes more important? How are you dealing it in your organization?
So we prioritize engagement at any given point, it's important to ensure that the journey is never discontinued by the platform or the brand, right?
Sure.
So the customer always has the right and the capability to pull the plug on a conversation, right? So our job is to ensure there are no dead ends in their journey. A very small example, on the Zepto app, every once in a while things do go out of stock, right? And very rare, but whenever that happens, we have a feature called Notify Me, right? And no one asked us to do that, right? But we know that if we have that conversation, that small button, right, then people know that, okay, we have not shut our doors, right? So people click on Notify Me, they get a notification as soon as we have it back in stock over WhatsApp. And instead of that, the fact that something is out of stock becoming a poor experience, that we actually flip it and it actually becomes a better experience. People who click on Notify Me, they actually have 20% higher retention than people, who
Sure.
find everything
So
in
it's
stock.
it's happening on your app.
Yeah,
right?
on our app.
Now, also the question, second part of the question is, conversational discussion is also moving out of the app.
Right, because just like any shift in technology, it will not happen overnight. But conversational marketing is, as things stand, it's a communication approach, right? It's an engagement approach, right? So for it to evolve into a platform by itself, I think we have a few years before that happens.
Okay. So you're saying balance is there.
Balance is absolutely
Okay.
needed. Yeah.
I know.
I don't think mobile apps are going anywhere. Okay, let's just look at the traditional way in which we live our lives. Okay. 11 o'clock in the morning, there's a guy who will come into the gated community. Apple, Kela, Mosambi, Apple, Kela, Mosambi. For me, that's conversational marketing. Okay, but you also have gated communities or communities in which there's a permanent vegetable and fruit store inside. Okay, that is subscription, right? The conversational marketing to me is largely headline purchase. When I see a good headline, I buy that magazine. Subscription is when I permanently buy into the banner, which is The Economist. I know anything that comes out from there is great. So Netflix, Swiggy, Prime Amazon, whatever it is, Amazon itself, are all having permanent real estate on my phone, right? And that's going to continue because that is where I go in first shot. There is no conversation there. It's already there in my head. Real estate in my head, real estate in my device is contained in the mobile app. It's not going anywhere. That wherever you want subscription, you need real estate parked there.
Yeah.
And people who create subscription typically tend to generate much higher exponential valuations and revenues than people who need to have conversations all the time transactionally. That's the only point I'm making. Okay. Now, a conversation is not going anywhere either, but it will be in the context of the real estate. If I have to open a new conversation every day saying Apple, Kela, Mosambi,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
If this is true, that there is a balance, whether the needle is towards marketing conversation or towards the applications, there is an integration requirement. There's a platform requirement people should be talking about and building that context around it. It's a difficult task. I'll tell you why. We all have heard this word called omni-channel. Am I correct, guys? Yes or no? Everybody has spent some money on it. You wasted your money. Because it's called omni-consumption. You should know where your customers are consuming from, rather than assuming that these channels are all valid and people would come and join you, right? Now, when omni-consumption comes with it, it's becoming more and more difficult, right? I need to understand, respond simultaneously. Platform is required. How do we solve this?
Right. And I quite agree with Ramesh where the apps is going to stay, but my view is that apps going to stay where if I need a 10 minutes delivery, I go to Zepto. But how do I go to Zepto? Should I go to Swiggy Instamart, or should I go to Blinkit, or should I go to Zepto for that matter? That customer acquisition stage, right? We need to understand if we are actually going to customers to acquire customers, then of course conversational is going to stay. If we say that if we have to retain customers and have more reviews of customers, the user reviews, like we'll talk about 4.8 rating, and you expect me that, or 4 rating, you expect me to write a review on Zomato? Perhaps not, But if I come out of a restaurant, you send me a WhatsApp and you say that, can you rate me on a scale 1 to 5? Perhaps I will, right? And that would add up to your score. So it's like getting how easy I make my consumer that experience to relate to a brand matters, right? That's one. Second, now there are a lot of channels, right? Like omni-channel is the order of the day. We started with email marketing, we started with voice, and then here the era of apps come in. Now then the era of conversational marketing come in, and then there is an interesting AI world attached to it, where bots will interact with you and will not make you like get in touch with the human being. But what actually the technology is doing these days, that they're integrating all these channels into one area and helping you engage with the customer in the context where they are, what they want, rather than that you're just pushing the message that, okay, fine, I want to sell you and here I'm pushing my message. Rather, I'm present with you where you are in the context where you are, in a more personalized manner.
Absolutely. So context becomes very important.
Absolutely.
Okay? So my question is coming to the last two E's. Okay? One is explosion. What is exploding? Digital is exploding. We are seeing, as marketeers, expectations of CEO is that you should be exponential in value. How do I get exponential value in engagement if I have to drive explosion? I think the biggest problem comes in, how do I make this happen?
I don't think that point in time is that far when a lot of our copy, a lot of our creatives, will be through API calls, right? There will be product and tech teams that will be managing a lot of this. It's scary, but it's coming, to being prepared is definitely better. So that I think is going to enable us to actually address this segment of one problem.
Got it. Pooja?
So I think that, yeah, I think marketing, definitely has moved from mass to personalization. And I think it's a mix of both. So of course, I'll talk on my example because in my field, we have to reach and drive a lot of penetration. But to your point, if it's engagement, something that I feel I need to, do, I have to have a personalized communication or conversation with that person. And that's the great part of digital, actually, if you go to see, from where I'm talking to a person, I am now basically making the person feel a part of the social network, but I'm still engaging with them at a personal level. Going forward, I feel people do want to be spoken to personally in a social context. And I think this will continue.
How many people in this room are happy with their customer service across all the businesses that you use?
You should be happy about your customer service.
Okay. That's what they think. But I think all of us generally get pissed off, right? But at the same time, once you go to the right level, the right person, you will most of the time get your problem solved. Correct? Okay. So here's the point, which basically means there are large parts of the organization which is not interested in good customer service. There are some people who will bend over backwards to give you good customer service. Correct? Here's where I want to talk about explosion. Singapore Airlines, right, is the platinum standard as far as customer experience is concerned. All of us will agree on that. Coming out of the pandemic, they carried 21 million passengers at an average ticket size of $2,000. Right? 21 million passengers. And still, you get consistent customer service. They started in 1974, which is almost 50 years ago to the date. They were the last to start in the area. They had Japan Airlines, Thai, Malaysian Airways, Ansett, Qantas, Cathay Pacific to contend with. They came from a domestic business which was 16 by 24 miles in size, so they had no domestic business to speak of, and still they are the platinum standard. My point is this: long before digital, somebody did very heavy lifting, person to person, customer to customer, country to country, and gave you outstanding customer service. We can still do it. Can we focus on the quality of customer service and bring digital efficiency under it? That's my only point.
Excellent. And continue. Please give him a big hand. Absolutely. With this, thank you very much for your time today, having you on the platform, sharing your sort of insights here. And Ramesh sir, thank you very much for being us. A lot of people are looking forward to hear from you as well. Okay.